So what is left? What has not been said during the day already? Frankly speaking, I'm afraid nothing is left. So what I can contribute is a different perspective from development cooperation. And during lunch, I was talking to the Swedish ambassador, and she said, we should connect the dots. Fortunately, I don't know whether it was intention or not, she was wearing a black dress with white polka dots. So it was a clear verbal and also visual statement, but I think that's exactly the challenge. And that's why I thought the journey is the destination. I think the what is clear, the question is more about the how. I said to the Swedish ambassador, I'm a bit afraid, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, telling the same what people have heard throughout the entire day. And her response was, Werner, repetition is the mother of learning. So you will get now another lesson. Now I have to switch to my favorite slide, which is this one. And I can imagine that this probably also visualizes how your brain looked like after such a long day. But this was an effort with my team to identify options of cooperation from the German perspective. And so let me now try to, how should I say, to shift from that chaos to a more structural approach. We are talking about a lot about circularity. The current model, of course, is still linear. And frankly speaking, I ask myself, once we are talking about circularity, how far we are away from that. So linear means take, make, and waste, with the effect that natural resources are turned into products that ultimately are destined to become waste. Because it's also the way they have been designed. So turning to a circular economy, of course, is about avoiding waste and pollution by keeping products and material in use, which in my interpretation is a direct attack against the fast fashion model. So some people might be already frightened. To make a comparison, probably some of you remember Kodak and Agfa, who didn't make it because digital photography was simply killing them. Or if you look to retail, to retailers like mail order business with a big book and paper, or the dinosaurs of retail, department stores, online took over. So I think it's really crucial that this industry is aware about what is going on. And we heard about the necessity of investments, the necessity to be willing to invest. And for example, if you look at the industry of medical devices, investors, private equity completely has accepted a failure rate of 80 to 90%. And I'm asking myself whether the industry is really willing and visionary enough to accept that this turn from linear to circular might heavily affect their businesses. But as I said, the journey is the destination, so let's still try to connect the dots. That was the wrong picture. But I think this is underlining what I said. Important is, and I don't want to quote, you can read faster than I, that the Bangladesh government already committed to this concept, to this overarching goal. And this is, I think, important. We heard the additional secretary, Abdurrahim Khan, that the government is willing to support this process. I think it also contains space for more formal employment. Michael was talking about the elephant in the room, the jute business. I think it has a huge potential to create formal employment, also further enhancement of formal economy, and making also the industries ready for export to global markets that require additional sustainability or circularity measures. This brings me to the European, where is it? No, one back. Yeah, brings me to the regulators in Europe. Not presenting every detail, but these keywords like eco-design, transparency, digital product passport, minimum criteria, and all types of environmental claims, or simply an extended responsibility of producers will force all participants along the value chain to join this journey. And I'm absolutely confident that regulators should not longer talk only about the what, it should also include the how. And if you look in detail to these new ideas of legislation, which politicians are already working on, it contains the potential to create more level playing field, and by that also creating space for business cases. Because I'm also absolutely convinced without having business cases, we will not make progress. Coming to, also coming to due diligence. The due diligence legislation is not only about working conditions, it's also inclines environmental compliance or environmental due diligence. So I'm really confident that the regulators will deliver the fertilizers to make progress. If we look to the value chain or the supply chain, then of course it reaches from energy and material input and finally ends up at waste or disposal, but at the very end, the leakage of material and energy. We have already lots of loops where we have good examples of recycling, remanufacturing, or reuse, or use longer. Again, we already mentioned the attack against the fast fashion, but we also have examples which are almost 20 years old. For if you look, oh, it's not working, what's going on? This little arrow in consumer markets. Maybe some of you know that 20 years ago, the German organization tried to introduce a standard coat hanger. The retailers and brands agreed on standardized hangers, and this allows that hangers not went any longer direct to dumping areas because they circulated many times, and after they were not in a proper condition anymore, they were recycled. And at the same time, there was an agreement along the supply chain with the manufacturers in manufacturing countries that whenever goods have been transported in a hanging and not in a flat pack condition, they used the same style of hanger and were so, in that way, delivering hangers to this circular model in the German retail business. So, according to me, The retail sector or the fashion industry, fashion retail is used already to such kind of models. And of course, the idea is now to extend it along the entire process chain. We talked about, of course, recycling of yarn. Parts of the fashion, the textile waste also goes to dumping areas. And this brings us to the next point, which is waste to energy. And waste to energy here in Bangladesh goes, of course, also beyond the textile industry. If we have in mind the dumping areas of big cities, mayors are getting more and more in trouble, are also contacting us, whether we as Development Corporation can offer solutions how to cope with this challenge. So if we now ask ourselves, where can Development Corporation contribute? We talked already about national regulations. We also have international regulation, which have to be somehow aligned. And now we thought where to contribute from, German development perspective. We are preparing government-to-government negotiations in October. I think the German government will support the journey, and German Development Corporation in Bangladesh, we think should have 3 core elements which are addressing the industry directly when it comes to technology and processes. We think that also collecting, separating waste here in the country is relevant. So if you, for example, think about the end of another supply chain, electronic waste in this country is already a challenge. But also the question whether waste has the right consistency to be turned into energy, probably also there. Cutting waste or textile waste can deliver a significant contribution. And last but not least, the promotion and the alignment of regulation, this linkage of national and international regulation, I think also offers potential where we as German Development Corporation have a chance to contribute. I would say less is more. It needs a clear focus. It needs the willing ones. I think the willing ones have raised their hands already. And this is my personal experience after 7 years being here in Bangladesh. Once you have the right people around the table, and it's not necessary to have 100 or 200. Sometimes 10 people are enough. Then you can start things moving. And I'm absolutely confident that this journey will reach its destination. The question is when, but I think we will experience that hopefully together. Thank you very much.